Good afternoon and happy Sunday to all of our members, partner agencies, and our community at large. This week, the Gwinnett County Family Violence Task Force will be celebrating National Crime Victims' Rights Week. We have a large lineup of virtual events for you all, and we want to take a moment to go through those events and talk a little bit about National Crime Victims' Rights Week. National Crime Victims' Rights Week is an initiative that is celebrated every year in the month of April. In 1981, President Ronald Reagan created the President's Task Force on Victims of Crime. There's also executive order that he signed 12360 in 1982. The purpose behind this was is still to promote victims' rights and services. Currently, this initiative is pushed forward by the Office for Victims of Crime and the Department of Justice, their Justice Programs Office. Today, here in Georgia, we have two forms of victims' rights to ensure equality with the treatment of victims in criminal cases. We have the Georgia's Victims Bill of Rights, and then we also have Marsy's Law, which created rights that were placed into the Georgia Constitution for victims of crime. Just a little overview of the Georgia Victim Bill of Rights. And of course, this is not an exhaustive list or overview. If you would like more information, about that, you can visit the Crime Justice Coordinating Council website, which will be listed below, along with a number of other useful websites. So some of the crimes that are covered by the Georgia's Victim Bill of Rights: crimes against a person, so our batteries, simple batteries, aggravated assaults, sex crimes, homicide by vehicle, serious injury by vehicle. And the essence of the Victim Bill of Rights are the rights of victims being protected. These are the rights to be notified of anything happening in the court case, the right to be heard by the court, the right to be present, and also the right to be notified and informed about resources in the community for these victims. Just a little information about the task force here in Gwinnett County. The task force was established in 1993, and the main purpose and goal is to create a coordinated community response to domestic violence in the Gwinnett County community. As a bigger picture, there is the Georgia Commission on Family Violence, which manages a number of task force and created task force all throughout the state of Georgia. So if you happen to be listening and you are in Bacon County, or you're in Macon-Bibb County, or you're in Athens-Clarke, you can go online to gcfv.org, which will also be listed below, and find your local task force that you can be a part of. The Gwinnett Task Force is a 501c3 nonprofit. We're comprised of judges, prosecutors, law enforcement, attorneys, advocates, survivors, school representatives, and also our community, just our regular community members. The biggest thing for you to understand about the task force or just about domestic violence, to be honest, is domestic violence is a community problem. It's not a behind closed doors, sweep under the rug issue. It is something that plagues our community and is something that endangers our community, as well as that survivor that is living this day to day. Whether it's the child that is acting out in class or bullying, who might be mimicking what they're seeing at home, or it's the abuser that has shown up at the survivor's work and has committed a homicide against that person. Domestic violence is a danger to the community. Thus, it takes a community response, a coordinated community response, all parts working together to eradicate this epidemic. We do want to just take a moment during this time that we are dealing with this COVID-19 pandemic, and we would like to thank all of our first responders, doctors, nurses, technicians, truck drivers, our grocery store workers, our DFACS workers, our advocates that are still going out with the community, all of our essential workers that are putting their lives on the line and sacrificing that to help us have somewhat of a little bit of a status quo, that we know we can go to the grocery store for groceries, and we can go to if we're ordering something, that we can get that. So we do want to take a moment and thank them in this time and thank them for their sacrifices. Moving into our first event of the week, we have our 2020 virtual candlelight vigil wall. So this wall will be up Sunday all the way to Friday morning. Essentially, we will be honoring those who have lost their lives due to violence. So we ask that our community members, anyone seeing this, that you're free to place the name or a photo of your loved one who you would like to honor, who lost their lives, due to violence. We also want to take a moment to honor those who have lost their lives to COVID-19. So if you have a loved one or family member you'd like to honor in that way, you can also comment with their name or photo below on this particular post that we will be posting, and just denote that this life was lost to COVID-19. Of course, with that, at the end of the week, we will be reading all of those names and honoring all of those people who have lost their lives at our remembrance ceremony. So that will be up throughout the week, and you can post that name. If you do not want to post the name on the wall, you can feel free to send us a message with the information as well. And we also will have resources listed underneath that post for those who are the next of kin or need some extra resources in that department. Our next event is going to be our virtual community resource fair. That will be running from Monday through Thursday. Each day we will be posting videos for our partner agencies that will talk about the resources they offer, how that looks with COVID-19 as well. So even if you may not need a resource, and these are all mainly geared towards domestic violence, but even if you don't necessarily need that resource, 9 times out of 10, someone you know might need that resource. So we'll have those videos. Even though they are released on certain days, they will be up the whole week. You will see them. You can go back to see those older videos as well. And of course, if you have any questions about a particular resource or questions for that resource, you can feel free to comment on that video or send a message, and we'll make sure that those messages and questions get answered and sent to that particular resource. Our next event is one of our key events that we will be starting each month, and it is our Survivor's Corner. During this time, we will take a moment to hear the words of a survivor of domestic violence. We will have a conversation about that. And we will just sort of walk through that journey with them on their journey to personal freedom, healing, and joy. So to start off our Survivor's Corner, we will be talking to Miss Sonia Davis-Bay, who is also the Vice President of the task force. And her story is a story that she dealt with as a childhood survivor, which is very important because we don't always think about the children in these cases. And it's definitely something that's needed to be heard. So we invite you to come in, whether that's on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube at 11 a.m. And just join that conversation. And that will be on Friday, the 24th. Our last event and closing out this week is our Out of Darkness Comes Light Remembrance Ceremony. We'll be honoring, of course, those who have passed due to violence in honor of National Crime Victims' Rights Week. This is where all the names that are listed under our candlelight vigil wall or sent to us in the photos, this is where we will be saying those names and showing those photos and honoring those lives that were taken too soon. That will be on April 24th at 2 p.m. This will be a live event on Facebook Live. So you can go to our Facebook Live to view this as well. And we're hoping that this starts more healing as well for the loved ones that are left behind. So that is our week that we're wrapping up. I do want to list our emergency domestic violence hotlines here. These hotlines, even though it might say Gwinnett Family Violence Hotline or Georgia, anyone can call these, and we'll make sure these hotlines will make sure they get to the resources that are in their particular community. And of course, we also have the Gwinnett Helpline, which is all things that you might need help on, you can call. But these are very important numbers. Even if you don't need them, someone you know might need them, someone in your family, someone, your neighbor, you never know, especially during this time where we're all in isolation. So that is our week. We're excited to get to start and excited to engage with the community. Of course, if you're a survivor or you might know a survivor and you have questions, you have concerns, you need to talk to anyone, you can also reach out to these lines and they can get you in contact with advocates that are specialized in this area of domestic violence that can talk to you about some things and give you some pointers as well. So with that being said, I want to wish everyone a happy Sunday, a great rest of the week, and we cannot wait to see you. So thank you all and have an awesome day.